Hey y'all, welcome back for another Lunch and Learn. If this is your first time joining the Lunch and Learns, my name is Georgie-Ann. I am the CEO and founder of GSD Solutions. We specialize in all things business systems, automation, AI, and all that jazz. We do a lot of training and development. We're kind of at the intersection of IT and people management, right? We make sure that your people and your technology work together for the greater good. So today's Lunch and Learn is, and about me, Georgie-Ann. I'm a content creator, a mom, and I do the Lunch and Learn series all about how you can use different tech tools, AI tools, business tools to grow. So today's Lunch and Learn, I've been really excited for this one because today's Lunch and Learn is about what is work sprawl. So work sprawl, I'm going to explain in just a second, is costing so many businesses and business owners so much money. And they have no idea how expensive work sprawl is because it just seems like that's just how we get work done. Well, in reality, there are so many ways to get work done. There are literally billions of ways to get work done, and you don't have to do it that exact way. And that way may be costing you tens, hundreds, thousands of dollars, and you're not realizing it because if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? That is kind of the concept a lot of people are operating from. So today we're going to break down what is work sprawl, what you could do about it, and how you could get some cost savings associated with work sprawl. So if you're watching today, go ahead and put into the chat, where are you watching from? If you're watching the replay, no worries. Go ahead and put down in the description down below where you're tuning in from and what interests you more, or better yet, have you ever heard of the term work sprawl? Right. So it's a new term with the work in front of it. So sprawl has been around forever when it comes to tech and IT, but work sprawl is now it's implementing into the workplace and workflow. So let's get into it. Righty. So we get a text, right? So we get a text and someone says, "Hey, can we meet tomorrow to talk about the project?" So this is a text from your colleague. This is your work phone. And then you reply, "Sure, where at? Do you want to do a phone call, a Google Meet, a Zoom, a FaceTime? You want to go to the office?" This is an example of work sprawl. What tool is a proper way to communicate when we are trying to have a meeting? What is the cadence for meetings? Like if it's this type of meeting, we do it on this software or we meet in the office, right? This is where SOPs are going to be super important, which is standard operating procedures. This is where understanding the way you want to communicate and document. So if it's going to be in a meeting about a project where other people are also on that project, maybe something that's going to have an AI note taker, a Zoom, a Teams meeting, something digital will be the best option. If it's going to be something that's a more collaborative work session, maybe in the office is the best option. Because what ends up happening is that we have too many tools that do the same exact thing. And then when we start using the tool, we have no idea which one to use for what. So here's a little graphic. Shout out to my homie Chat that created these graphics. And if you watched my Lunch and Learn a couple weeks ago, you would know exactly why I use ChatGPT for this graphic instead of my big friend Claude, right? And if you didn't watch it, don't worry, it's going to be linked down below. But make sure you go back and watch that session where I break down the different type of AI solutions and what they're for. So within even, I'm getting excited. I'm talking a little fast. Let me slow down. There's even AI sprawl where you're using too many different AI tools inside of your tech stack and you don't need all of them. So let's break it down. So within communications, there's Outlook, Gmail, Teams, Google Meet, Slack chat, Huddle, ClickUp. Then we have calendar invites, then collaboration, Notion, Notes, Google Keep. Like you are literally losing your mind. Like my little friend here in the picture, losing your mind because what project management software are we using? What storage solution should I put this in? And oftentimes growing teams, especially small and mid-sized businesses, will have too many tools. That's why we need to audit our tech stack. So in another episode, I talked about auditing our tech stack, and I have another episode coming up next week that ties into auditing your tech stack. And if you want to use our GSD Solutions auditing tool, I'm going to leave it down below in the description as well. But you have to understand what is in my tech stack, what is each thing's for, and how am I going to use it? Or better yet, how are we going to use it? How is my team going to use it? I'll give you an example, right? A couple years ago, GSD Solutions, we had Slack because Slack was industry standard. You would just use Slack. We have Slack. And then we also had ClickUp, which is our project management software. Great. Love it. It's amazing. We tried Asana before. I think we tried Trello for like a second, but I love ClickUp. I'm like, this is what we're going to use. We started building SOPs around it. And as time passed, both Slack and ClickUp had different upgrades. ClickUp upgraded to offer something called ClickUp Chat. When I first tried it, the features weren't all that great. So I'm like, we still need Slack. At this time, we already had Google Workspace emails, which comes with Google Chat, right? Google Chat. We could have used that instead of Slack, and we were already paying one subscription. So now, if you're tracking, we have 3 different subscriptions: Google Workspace, Slack, and ClickUp. All 3 tools have a chat communication system. Great, right? Actually, no, not that great. Which one do we use for what and when or why? And after doing an audit, because that's our specialty, so the shoemaker made her own shoes, and I did an audit, and I was like, we're paying, it wasn't an expensive amount that we were paying for Slack. So I want to highlight this, right? People might assume, oh, if you're not spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on the software, just leave it alone, it's fine. It compounds. So we were spending about $60 a month in Slack based on how many team members we were using Slack. And Slack has a great feature where if people aren't as active, they're not charging you. So great, love it, amazing. But $60 a month times 12 months, you're looking at a couple $100. So when I did the audit, I realized we weren't using Slack not even efficient. We weren't using it enough for me to justify paying Slack, and I wanted to upgrade on our ClickUp. So transitioning, now I have $60 in the bucket a month, and so I transitioned or ClickUp into being the primary chat place. And it worked for our organization because they have a mobile app, so we still have access to that. They also have the huddle feature. They had the video feature, so we could share screen. And it's already inside of our task management platform. I wanted our team to be using our project management, task management platform more on a day-to-day basis. And if I have them, task toggling from app to app to app, then they're not going to be as efficient in their work because they're going through 20 different apps. Look at my friend here. Look how crazy he looked trying to go through all the different apps. It does not work. So I said to myself, what is the most efficient workflow for our team? When we get a new client, contracts comes in, I handle, we use our tools to do that. When a project execution is happening, it's best that I have all of the team members inside of ClickUp to manage the task and know what's going on and what updates, and also having them use ClickUp Chat to communicate the updates. And now everything is one place, and they're not toggling between 3 different apps in order to communicate on a day-to-day basis. With the right plugins and integrations, we could also send emails directly from ClickUp. So essentially, if a person wanted to, they don't have to leave ClickUp at all to do any of their work. It connects to our Drive, it connects to Zoom. They can literally do everything inside of ClickUp. It has a calendar, all the things. And that to me is going to save my team members, and it definitely saves me a significant amount of time on a day-to-day basis because I'm not moving from one app to the other and getting distracted. I am personally a victim of distraction when it happens, because if you're moving through different tasks at a time, right? This is where the work sprawl happens, and you're literally all over the place by just trying to get your work done, and you get distracted, and now you're looking up definitions and terms and meanings, right? When the information is scattered across platforms, it also increases the chances of people getting things wrong. We've all played telephone before, and if you haven't, that game where you whisper something in someone's ear and it's a line of you, by the time it gets to the end of the line, the message has completely been chopped and screwed. The message is something else. And that's the same thing that happens when information is stored in too many different places. And that's caused by work sprawl, because you're putting it all over the place, and it decreases productivity. So you're going to lose a lot of productivity. It increases employee burnout because they're toggling, they're moving through different things. So even though it might be just a click of a link, you're working from home, you're working from your device, your brain has to now reorient itself to this new environment. And we don't conceptualize that enough when it comes to digital work. When it comes to physical work, and we know if you're working in Office 1 versus Office 2, you have to reorient yourself. Everything from where's the bathroom? Where are the exits? What can I get outside for lunch? Where are the water stations? Decreases and increases, it toggles your productivity. And that's the same thing that happens when you're going through too many tabs. You're toggling through different tasks, and that's caused by work sprawl, because your work is all over the place, literally. And then in the end, it also increases the software cost, because if I had kept Slack and we don't really need it, right? We just need to communicate. We need a tool that could huddle, take notes, have different channels, and ClickUp chat allowed me to do that. So it was the most efficient thing for our team. But here's the caveat, right? I had another client that we worked with, and their primary communication tool was Slack. So for that 1 month, I think it was like a 2-month project, I re-downloaded Slack, did our subscription just for myself, because I was the only person that needed to communicate with them. And then I would send messages from the team. And if it was another person on my team, we'd do that. So it was a temporary upgrade to using the Slack, and then we got rid of it again. So that allowed us to use the tool and leverage it in the most productive way possible for a specific time and for a specific reason. And another final thing that I'll mention is that when you have work sprawl, you end up having poor decision making, because again, all the information is not there. You only looked at 3 of the 7 apps that you all use in order to get work done. Now, the majority of what is true for my organization lives within Drive and ClickUp. Not Drive, ClickUp, Slack, Teams, chat, Drive and ClickUp. And Drive is connected to ClickUp. Boom. And it works. It makes the most efficient sense for our organization. We're saving money. We're increasing productivity. We're not all over the place. So let's keep going into some of the additional effects that happen when it comes to work sprawl. And I want to give y'all an example. Well, I've already defined it, but I'll read my little definition that I wrote down. What is work sprawl? Work sprawl is when tools, platforms, and workflows get out of control and lack a single reliable view of execution. That key part is at the end. A single reliable view of execution. Someone could come into my team tomorrow, brand new person, look at our ClickUp and know exactly where we are within our project. Look in our Drive and know exactly where we are within our project, because that's our centers of truth. I'm working on making it even better than that, right? We're working on different dashboards and things of that nature, but that's our center of truth. It develops as teams adapt tools. So it grows, right? Work sprawl grows as teams adapt tools to solve immediate problems without building long-term systems and SOPs. This is the biggest detriment. We download a tool, we buy a software to solve a short-term problem, right? And then when it's now long-term, we do 2 things, well, 3 things. We forget that we subscribe to it. There are so many tools that I've bought on places like AppSumo, or some stuff that I've downloaded from like Product Hunt. I'm like, oh, this is cool, this is fun, let me get it. Did I need it? Did I ever use it? Maybe used it once or twice. And it might be nice to have like the lifetime access, but oftentimes they now start charging different fees and different formats. And then I have to suffer to say, do we still need this? And that's why audits are so important. But the second thing now is that some of your team may use it, but not all of the team, because you lack efficient SOPs, right? That is the standard operating procedure. Yes, we have Asana, but this is how we use Asana. The way my agency, my company, we use Drive, or how we even use ClickUp, is going to be different from how another organization uses the same tool. I was able to onboard about 4 or 5 of my clients onto ClickUp for their task management platform, and every single ClickUp workspace that I've built is so different, right? Some people use ClickUp with for having their what is it called? Like kind of like an internet, where they have all of their training documentations, their infrastructure, their information, the processes, the procedures. I like to keep mine on Drive, right? So each agency, each corporation, each individual will use the different products and tools in different ways. So you as the CEO, you as the HR leader, you as the operations leader must create standard operating procedures of, we got this tool, now this is how we use it. If you don't create that second part of this is how we use it, you're going to end up with work sprawl. And even worse, you're going to end up with a lot of shadow IT. I've seen in organizations, one of the organizations that I implemented ClickUp in, they had tried multiple task management tools before. They tried Trello, they had tried Asana, and the most recent person had to use Asana. And what they were finding out was that even though they had told everyone, hey, sign up on Asana, we're sending out the links, we're doing trainings, they never made any SOPs around Asana. So people felt like it was an optional thing. So a lot of people were still tracking their task in Google spreadsheets. Not a bad thing, don't get me wrong. It will work. There are teams that I know that only work out of Google spreadsheets. They only work out of, now Google has the docs where you can add the little task and even assign a task. So you have Google task list. Perfect solution for many organizations. Is it perfect for yours? That's the question you have to ask yourself. That looks like doing an audit, talking to an operations and technology consultant like GSC Solutions, shameless plug, but it looks like actually analyzing, is this the right thing for us to be using, and how does it fit into our larger workflow? There are many tools out there that are great tools, not great for us. We do not need to be using it. Depending on your organization size, your organization industry, your goals. Are you working with government agencies? That looks like a whole different tech stack than if you're just working with nonprofits or mom and pop shops. Are you working with brick and mortar? Are you working with digital businesses? Are you working with startups? Are you working with mid-sized companies? So there are so many different ways that you could remix industry, service, product, and remix it in such an intense way that it's unique. Everybody's workflow, everybody's system, everybody's SOP is going to be unique. You could take little pieces of others just as inspiration, but every time it's going to end up being unique. So you have to think about that when you are considering how you end up building your solutions, how you end up building your SOPs around the workflow. So that way you don't have work sprawl. And the last thing I say is that no one wants to create a mess in their business. Work sprawl is often unintentional, but it's always very expensive. It adds up, right? It adds up so quickly. Like I told you, right? It seems like, oh, you're just spending $60 a month on Slack. Let me just do the quick math. And I know, why don't I know 6 times 12? Because I'm doing a workshop and I can't remember. So $720, right? $720 is $60 a month times 12 months for the year. What else can my business do with that $720? Could we upgrade another software that we use more often? Could we, have a VA do something for us? Could we do an employee dinner? Get new t-shirts, right? There are so many other options. And I'm a small, mid-sized business. At a larger organization, some people are spending $1,500 a month on their Slack for their team. They're underutilizing it. 1,500 times 12, you're looking at $18,000. $18,000. Where can you more efficiently spend that $18,000 for a tool that you're not using? And then, especially when it's a per month, per user type tool versus a lifetime or a longer term subscription. So I wanted to show y'all this demonstration of, can I put myself in the middle? It's okay. I'm just going to put myself back to the side. I wanted to show you all this like workflow, right? Let's go back actually. So let's say this is a sample Work Sprawl example. So a client requests a proposal, right? This is the workflow. This is how the process of everything goes. The client requests a proposal. The proposal is created. Proposal is sent. Proposal accepted. Contract, invoice, onboarding, manage the project, communicate with the client, execute the project, any edits and revisions, offboarding, right? Standard. This is how we get work done. But what that looks like in between is, how are we getting them that proposal? Is it going to be email? Are we using a third-party site? Are we sending it from our website? Are they submitting a form? Do we then create the proposal in HubSpot, Google Docs, QuickBooks, Honey, something else? How do we send the proposal? Is it sent through Dropbox sign, DocuSign, email? How do we know if the proposal is accepted? Do they have to click off and sign something? Do they fax it back to us? People are still using fax. Then now we have to do the contract. Do we use Dropbox sign, DocuSign? Oh my goodness. I will just say that there are a lot of small and mid-sized businesses that are using signing platforms that are way more expensive than they need to be. I'm not going to name drop. I'm not going to say which tool to use or don't use. I will say we have a workshop next week with Dropbox Sign, and I use Dropbox Sign. But I know a lot of organizations, right? Too many actually, that are using enterprise level software and paying enterprise level fees, and they only have to sign 2 to 3 contracts a month, a quarter. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. You have access to 10,000 signatures. You only need 4. What are we doing, guys? Come on. Are they signing through Adobe Acrobat? Now Gmail has a Google Sheets, Google Docs, all these Google things. Google Docs now has a signature signing solution. What are we using? What are we paying? Are we double paying? Are we triple paying? It's so easy for these prices to add up, and you're confused as to why you're not making any money. Where's all the money going? Your business is only able to break even and never make a profit because of work sprawl. Your productivity is down and you're spending way more money than you need to. And that's because you haven't just hired a consultant, shameless plug, to do an audit for you, or you haven't sat down and do your own audit. It's possible. So, let's not waste money, time, or energy or any resources because we're trying to grow businesses and develop as leaders. Now it's time so we sent them the contract. Now it is time to send an invoice. All right, if I'm tongue tied, that means I got to slow down. Sorry, y'all. I really get excited about this stuff. I really and truly get excited about this stuff. So let me slow down. Now it's time to send the invoice. Do you use HubSpot for the invoice? Do you use a Google Docs invoice and then they have to pay you through ACH? Export the doc as a PDF? Do you send an invoice on QuickBooks? Do you send an invoice on another platform? Do you send them a request in the mail? What are you doing? What is your process for this? What tool are you using? Now it's time to onboard. There's a variety of onboarding tools there. Project management. Are we using a spreadsheet? Are we using a ClickUp, a project management tool? Are we just going through email? Are we writing it down, pen and paper in a notebook? This is my project management. I use this as my version 1 backup project management, but I know I have to put it inside a ClickUp because that's where my team lives. That's how I make sure everyone else knows what to do. Right? And then client communications. Are we allowed to email them, DM them, text them, Slack them? Do we want to make sure that the communications to our clients are on a platform or in a way that anyone else on the team will have access? Who must you CC, BCC, all the things? How do you communicate with the client? Do you use a certain generic email that everyone on your team has access to, so that way you could know what's the status of the project? What updates do we include in our team meetings? Like, how do we get the communication and put it in a shared location that way other people in the team get access? One way I do this, if we're texting our clients, only using Google Voice, because that is our phone system right now. Why would I directly text them and now no one else on my team has access to it? Doesn't make sense. Project execution. So again, that's a dozen different things. Edits and revisions. How many? How do they request it? How do they submit tickets? And then lastly, offboarding. What's the process for that? How do we collect testimonials? Do we do reviews on Google? Do we do video reviews? Do we do all of the above? How do we collect and store that information? These are things that we have to think about. So we're going to do a demo in just a second, and then we'll do the recap. So in this demo, what I'm going to be going over and sharing with y'all are just a few different blogs and articles that I really have enjoyed so far around Work Sprawl. So ClickUp is kind of the organization, I know all things ClickUp, is one of the organizations that really introduced me to the term Work Sprawl. I was familiar with Sprawl from before when it comes to, like, again, IT and tech related things. And let me just make sure my screen is sharing well. Okay, here we are. So, click up. Okay, here we go. So the hidden costs of Work Sprawl, employees get distracted, teams do redundant work. So they did all of the analysis, and look at this number, y'all. This is what got the most of my attention. I knew it was an issue based on the fact that I do audits all the time, and this is the work that I do every day. But when I saw this number, I said, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Like, this is crazy, because Work Sprawl is pretty much a combination of task toggling, which we know is expensive, shadow IT, which we know is expensive, and distractions in the workplace, which we also know is expensive. So employee engagement and interaction. So it's 3 things that are already super expensive, right? $1 billion problems combined, hence a $2.5 trillion global problem. We have to pay attention. We have to pay attention. Because especially now with the rise of AI, it's only going to get worse. Everyone's building their own little AI apps and solutions to solve problems. But if your workflow includes an AI app that you built custom, and now I'm also an employee at that same organization, you have this AI agent, app assistant, whoever helping you. My workflow doesn't look like that. So how do we systematize it so we could all grow within our organization, and then we're not wasting time, money, energy? You finish your work in 2 hours and then kind of have to just do miscellaneous stuff for the next 6. And I have to do 8 hours of work. How do we, create a equitable and efficient workforce? So, it's silence, compounding, productivity killer, 2.5 million annual lost productivity hours, right? And so there's different breakdowns. So Work Sprawl is like the big umbrella, but then they also kind of created something called App Sprawl, Workflow Sprawl, Knowledge Sprawl, AI Sprawl, Collaboration Sprawl. And over the next few weeks, I'm kind of going to be doing like a little series breaking down each one. But yeah, so here are some of the graphics, and I'll include the links to these articles inside of the description so you can review it as well. But here we have Joan, modern work. You get a message in Slack with a link to a Confluence doc to prep for a meeting on Zoom where you take notes in Notion and track the project on Monday and then update Trello. And you get to the end of the week, and instead of doing anything, you just moved bits of information around in 17 different bases, and each one costs $15 a month per user. The exact demo that I just gave earlier, and I hadn't even saw this until now, right? So work is with more AI, more tools are doing more things. Zoom used to just be conferences, and then you have to have like Fathom or Fire Files or all the different, or what is this other one? Opus? I don't know. You have to have like another AI companion that would come in and like take the notes for you. Now Zoom has AI companion. Zoom has Zoom Docs. Zoom has meeting recaps. Zoom has clips. That's 4 or 5 different apps and solutions that could be deleted from your tech stack, saving your company hundreds, thousands of dollars a month or even a year, right? So we have to be able to audit our tools and figure out, what do we keep, what do we optimize, and what do we just delete? What needs to be getting rid of? What do we need to just get rid of? We have too many things. There's too many things. There are so many things. So that's one article I wanted to share, y'all. I wanted to share this other one. So HubSpot also talks about this as well, which is in tool sprawl, especially when it comes to customer experience. So this is a really good article. I really enjoyed this one. And it says each year, the average company spends about $135,000 on unnecessary software licenses. And when you do all the math, right? So the big issues, I'll just read out the big signs. So switching tool takes time, right? You have to move from one to the other. The data doesn't match up because it's like bits and pieces in different places. Teams aren't communicating. New team members struggle to kind of get into that loop because everybody's kind of running super fast. And no one sees the whole picture because you have, what is it called? Puzzle pieces. It's just a piece here, a piece there, a piece here. And the costs are adding up, and then growth stalls and your business plateaus, and you wonder why. You wonder why. And more tools. Before, HubSpot was just email marketing. Now you could track deals. Now they have a customer experience angle. They have the marketing hub, the CRM hub. Like, there are just so many different pieces of this one tool. And I'm not just advocating to say only use one tool and call it a day. I want you to use the tool that's the smartest and the best tool for your organization and the workflow that matches the results that you're looking for. Oftentimes we just do what industry standard says, right? Another article here from Task Force also helps to take a look at it. So I'm going to include all these articles, but everyone, is on the same page. Productivity decreases, employee overload and burnout. You're spending a lot more money, and then decision paralysis because we have to put it on ClickUp to make sure that we approve it there, and then Notion, and then da 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 da. And even recently, there's been this article back in February from Harvard Business Review that it talks more about the work sprawl, and just AI doesn't reduce work, it intensifies it. Because with AI, we're getting more work done faster and filling that time, right? Filling the gains of AI with more work. I could go on a soapbox for at least an hour about this, but I'm not gonna. I get excited, I know that. But what I am gonna say is that AI will increase your workflow, intensify it, because now everyone is faster, smarter, better. I have in my pocket, in my Chrome tab, thousands of documents, videos, pieces of information. And I don't have to fully think through all of that. I don't have to scan through all of it. Before, with like Google, you could go through the links, you could scan through, and I still had to come to a conceptualize the information. Now I could get the information summarized. I could get, requested to act like a, manager or a marketer or whoever. Put a personality to it, get an answer. I could tell it to act like me. Feed in information about all the things. I've been in business for doing this type of work for the last 13 years. I could literally feed it 13 years of my own data and say, based on everything Georgie-Ann has written, talked about, I have I have over 400 videos on YouTube, right? It could know my language, how I talk, my tone, my cadence, I never have to touch anything again, but then I still do. So we're getting these gains from AI and we're filling the gains with more work. And then everyone feels behind, can't get ahead, is burnt out, is exhausted. And what we really need to take a look at is how are we evolving work with the evolution of AI and more technology? Because all that's happening is we're just, work sprawling, we're just spreading the work out more to feel like the task now is okay. I just had a really cool way to describe this. Before we were doing work in all these different places, right? Maybe it's like 4, 3, 5, 4, 5, 6 places. Now we think we're doing more work because the work is all spread out. So it's like as if when we had 4 or 5 marbles, you drop them on the ground, grab them up, you're good. But now we have 100 marbles, right? So before our bucket fit 5 marbles. Now we have a bucket that fit 100 marbles and we drop 100 marbles. So we're putting or better yet, we made the marbles smaller. I like that analogy better. I love a good analogy. So we have 5 marbles to begin with, and we put those 5 marbles and we had our bucket that fits 5 marbles. Or bucket still fits 5 regular size marbles. But what we've done instead is cut each marble, right? Cut each marble into 20 pieces and then put those pieces on the floor. So now we have to get 20 pieces per marble, 5 marbles. We're looking at 100 pieces. It's the same bucket. So once all the pieces are in there, now instead of 5, we have 100 and it's the same bucket, same size. So we think we're doing more like, oh, I got to get 100. I got 80. I got 75. I'm doing great. You could have had 5 marbles. Fill the bucket, call it a day. So we have to reinvent how we work. What are our workflows? How systems align with our work and how we get it done. And just really think about how we can leverage the gains from AI to truly amplify the human. We should be spending this time resting, creating, experimenting, learning, not doing more work. That's my soapbox. I'll end it there. So I'll go back to the slides. And again, the links to those, the articles that I shared are going to be in the description. But a recap is we have to think about how we do things and is it documented? Especially if you're running an organization, and I'm talking to y'all, CEOs, if you're a CEO or operations lead that's watching this, we do this for other people very easily. We are terrible at doing it for ourselves. This is, I'm preaching to the choir here. I am guilty, just as guilty, and I've been excessively intentional around getting around that loop. I could audit and optimize anybody's workflow, tech stack, all the things. And I've been making a concerted effort to do the same thing within my own workflows and the things that I do to ensure that I am not filling work time or downtime with more work, right? AI makes me more productive, but then I do more work. That doesn't make sense. I'm spending more time with myself, reading, learning, growing, doing things that actually will optimize me, right? As a human. Let the AI optimize the work. I need to be better and think faster and just think differently, even in exposing myself to different things, having different conversations. So that is the priority that AI, and that's the gift that AI gives us, but not enough of us are using it. Are there shadow tools that need to be deleted? What is not working within our workflow? What should we not be using? Get rid of it. You're paying. I guarantee you're overpaying for something. It's a fact. Even me, super optimized, I'm overpaying for something. And I know exactly what it is. But that one specific thing, I use it enough, like 40%. I'm like, okay, I'm going to leave it alone. But if I really wanted to go intense, I could get rid of it and just put that into another tool that we use. But that's for another day. Try something new today, right? And how often do you audit your technology? There is a tool on our GSD Solutions website. It's going to be linked down below as well for you to use to help you audit your tech stack. So that way you are not waiting until you've already spent $18,000 to say, oh, maybe I should not use this. I don't even need this. Or better yet, again, guilty as charged. I had a tool that I was using. I no longer needed it. And I was like, I'm not using it right now. I'm not worried about it. And then a nice big 5-figure invoice hit my account, and I was quick like, can we delete it? And the contract that I signed, I had to eat it. Then I spent the next 11 months trying to figure out, should we use it? How could we use it? And I realized we don't need it, and I deleted it. But I had to learn the hard way, and I'm trying to help you all avoid learning the hard way for this process. And so the next time we're going to be on here for our lunch and learn is going to be next week, Thursday, April 23rd. I'm going to have Angie Bossel with me. She is from Dropbox. So we're going to talk about how to work smarter with Dropbox. So if you are using Dropbox, even if you aren't using Dropbox, this is a great session. There are so many features that I had no idea Dropbox has. I mentioned earlier, I use Dropbox Sign, which is their signature platform. And we've been using that for a long time within GSD Solutions. But then there's like the generic Dropbox for storage, and there's so many automations you could have inside of Dropbox storage. They also have Dropbox Facts. I use that as well. They have Dropbox Dash, which is their AI tool. I use that too. But slowly and surely, you can use different parts of a platform, and that's the next thing. There are so many different sub apps and different parts of platforms that we don't know exist, and it will be so helpful to our workflows and our processes. So join me and Angie next week for another lunch and learn, and this is going to be a topic. If you're watching the replay, the video is going to be linked below in the description for that as well, so depending on how much in the future. Before I wrap up, are there any questions or comments anyone wants to add in the chat from the live lunch and learn? I do these every Thursday. Let me know if you have any questions. And I'm going to go onto the app. So sometimes the streaming platform doesn't bring in the questions. So let's go onto the app itself. I don't see any questions on the apps. Where else am I live? YouTube. All right, no questions right now. If you do have questions, again, leave it in the comments and we'll review those afterwards. But thank you so much for joining for another lunch and learn. Again, I'm going to put up back the graphic for next week lunch and learn. If you go to my page or as well as look at the description, you'll see the link to register. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new today, and we'll see you next time here at GSD Solutions. I'm Georgie-Ann Gettin, and this was another lunch and learn.